This video is a part of a small series in which I talk about many aspects of Rain World, whether it's an oversight, something from the fandom online, or anything fitting under these categories. Before we start, I just want to quickly thank everyone for the support on the previous Rain Yap video and my last Slugcat song I released. I didn't really expect much from it, but I got positively surprised. If you have any topics I should touch on next time, feel free to request them in the comments. And now, let's game theory this. If you've been in the community for a while, you may know who Nightcat is, but if you somehow don't, Nightcat refers to either a black Slugcat in the Gorman's opening cutscene, the 4th area Slugcat color, or just the Watcher. There's probably a secret 4th answer, but we're not getting into the Deltarune community mindset, if you know what I mean. Most popular theory, and the most logical one at first, is that Nightcat is clearly the placeholder Slugcat before the Watcher actually came out, and that officially Nightcat doesn't exist, which I partially agree on. Well, it really depends on how you think. Some people who usually don't wanna argue believe in everything at once, as in that the cast in Slugcat, Arya Slugcat and the Watcher are the same character. But now, let me try to convince you why I personally separate them, even if they may look the same. I am someone who was in Rain World even before the Watcher came out, so I already knew about Nightcat's existence. I personally really like the headcanons people do, especially when it comes to the designs. Heck, even Video Cult has separated Nightcat and Watcher in the past, like in the merchandise. But we honestly can't prove it's canon to the lore, yeah, I admit it. But hear me out. In the Survivor cutscene, you can clearly see other Slugcats from its family that have the similar, if not the same color. You don't immediately assume that they're all survivors, right? Unless you're evil. It's not that Slugcats need to vary from one another to be different characters. Whether this little thing's name is, it's probably the most controversial character in the entire franchise. Maybe besides this little freak. And it appeared for like 2 seconds. Or 2 million, depending on your viewpoint, obviously. But seriously though, whatever you think, don't harass anyone because of their opinion, or don't try to tell them what is canon and what isn't. And at the end of the day, they probably won't care. But if you really want to be bitchy about it, sure, but the answer is not as clear as you think it is. If there's any confirmed information that I'm sure of, Gormond cutscene isn't even canon to the Watcher, since the developers stated that those two are separate and happen in different timelines. That confirms that surely there must be another black-colored Slugcat with white eyes that's not the Watcher. Is it the same Nightcat stated in Sanchi merchandise? Who knows? Genuinely, Nightcat used to be a collective name for all of them at one point. Wait, there's the Arya Slugcat merch too. It's all separated. I don't know what to believe anymore. Rain World lore addicts, please don't send me to the Void Sea for this. Okay, I actually need a break. This was funny. Last time I touched on mostly in-game related topics, so how about we switch it up and talk about the community instead? For me, Rain World as a fandom is pretty dedicated to art. I know a lot of amazing artists, some of which I'll be featuring today in this episode. Wait, stop. I know what you're thinking. We won't be talking about the art drama. Why? Because it revolves around personal stuff that could be easily solved without public exposure. Got it? Great. What was I saying? Oh yeah, Rain World art. As an artist myself, I often stumble upon many amazing pieces online that are genuinely dead-drop gorgeous. I even saw someone relating the Deltarune artists are Renaissance painters video to Rain World art. And you know what? Look at that! It's kinda funny how I mentioned Deltarune 2 times in one Rain World video. Okay, there's something about Slugcat art specifically that makes me extremely happy. They are usually very squishy and small, maybe because I am a Slugcat, that would make sense. But you know what's an opinion that may be a bit controversial to some? I actually like when people go out of bounds with their designs. For example, look at this art piece featuring every type of exotic Slugcat you can find, from, I don't know, Middle European Slugcat to the Atlantic Ocean. In my opinion, it is subjective whether they are glossy or furry. Most common answers I've come across were either really short fur or fish-like feel, mostly for rivulet. Surprisingly, I've seen people be strongly against furry Slugcats, going as far as harassing anyone who put a little bit on it in their designs, which is absolutely stupid. See, it's the Nightcat talk again, but now it's worse. There are actually some design traits not really implied in canon, which the community adapted for itself. One that I can think about is the axolotl tail for Rivulet, multiple body scars for Artificer, and Karma flower accessory for Monk, which is adorable. If you can think of anything else I forgot, you can tell me down below. But well, the most agreed upon redesign choice, in my opinion, is Saint's one eye being cyan and the other one being yellow. It's like one of those wolf OCs back in 2016 that can fly and one-hit almost everything. Wait, the description seems strangely accurate. I made a post a few months ago depicting two sides of Rainbow art. One side being obviously the generic Slugcat, and the other being a retired Warrior Cats fan. And if you asked me, I'm personally the in-between. In this last segment, I wanted to talk about INF and the dating sim in depth, but I realized that this topic is a deep dive that I might as well create a separate video for. But while researching for it, I found something interesting that isn't talked about as much, I think. See, after you complete all 70 challenges, or manually turn the option on in the remix menu if you aren't a sadist, you can gather developer commentary tokens. It's similar to the Spearmaster dialogue collectibles, but this time the devs of the game reveal a fun fact, usually relating to the room we're in. Normally it's something small that can be said in one sentence, like how a Spearmaster was almost cut from the game, or how the Satan birds were created. But what stood out to me in particular were comments about Rubicon. This region was apparently very difficult to work on, especially because its rooms had to reference all base game regions and everything needed to connect together in the end. Even the first version of the region got scrapped and it went through 6 different level designers before we got the layout we know of today. Another idea was that Rubicon entrance, instead of falling down, would be accessed through just a regular gate locked at Karma 10. It came from a fact that Saint was seen more as an extreme difficulty Slugcat, and encountering something like that would be really shocking for the first time, preparing the player for the worst that can happen. Rubicon region ID to this day is HR, which actually stands for Hell Region. And one more thing, I'll let the actual dialogue speak for itself. Did you know that all Slugpups go to hell? If you enable pups artificially, Rubicon has a 100% spawn rate. I wasn't expecting Will to actually do it, but here you go. And besides this, there's also... The art for this region is definitely a favorite. The way the golds and oranges and reds melt together is just... tasty. But the worst part is that I see it. Why? Okay, but like, can we all agree that Rubicon tastes like an orange flavored jelly? Okay, I should definitely go to sleep.